Hello Internet, Mike Byrne aka Magic Man here from MMOBomb.com, and today I want to pose a question to you, the free-to-play gaming viewers here. So, before we get started, I do need to qualify this with nothing that any of you are going to be surprised by, but I am a Final Fantasy nut, particularly when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, so my views on the game may be somewhat biased. Luckily, we're not talking about content and the way the patches and things roll out for the game or anything in the game itself here, but if a little bias creeps in, I have quite a bit of Final Fantasy stuff here. I love playing the games ever since the original NES game launched. Final Fantasy XIV in particular has been something that I've subbed to for all but 4 months, maybe 5 months of its entire existence from A Realm Reborn forward, and that doesn't count version 1.0. So forgive me if I fanboy on the game a little bit or on the franchise. But as it pertains to free-to-play, we did get news that Final Fantasy XIV is going free-to-play. Or at least that's what a lot of clickbait headlines might have you believe, and upon further examination, I'm not sure if they're clickbait or not entirely. It does make a sexy headline when you put Final Fantasy XIV and free-to-play in the same headline, but is it free-to-play or is it not? And that's what I'm here to ask you about today. In terms of free-to-play, though, let's take a look at this. To recap and catch you back up, we did find out that when patch 5.3, Reflections in Crystal, launches on August 11th, in addition to the new Stormblood content and new dungeons and things like that for endgame players, there's going to be a change to the existing free trial system. Currently, you can play a free trial of A Realm Reborn all the way up to about level 35 with some restrictions as well. So it gives you a little smattering, a little flavor of the game to try and entice you into that box purchase and ultimately that sub, since it is a subscription-based game. That's going to change on August 11th, though, in a pretty big way. On August 11th, new trial players will be allowed to go all the way up to level 60. Now this includes all the content from A Realm Reborn and all the story content from the first expansion, Heavensward, all the way up through the final patches of that expansion, all the way up to patch 3.56. This means you'll be able to get your characters up to level 60, you'll have access to the 3 other jobs that were added, in addition to being able to create an Aura character, so you'll have quite a bit of content. Anywhere, if you treated this like a single-player MMO and you were just playing for the story, probably anywhere to about 35 to about 100 hours of content, depending on what content you consume and how fast you consume it. But yeah, the key points are raised to level 60, Heavensward through patch 3.56, Dark Knight, Astrologian, and Machinist classes are jobs open, and the Aura race available for creation. There's a small caveat here. If you have an existing trial account, then you will just be upgraded to the Heavensward content. If you ever added a retail key to your account, whether you had a trial and then bought the game and added that key, or you just owned the game, you cannot do this free trial on that account. It can only be a trial account, no retail keys associated with it, and if you want to do that, you're going to have to create another Square Enix account and start all over. You can't piggyback on a dead subscription back from A Realm Reborn or anything like that, or a trial that you added a serial key to. Now this is pretty big news, but it has led to the headline, Final Fantasy XIV going free to play, in a lot of places. So I wanted to get your opinion on this one, because initially I kind of looked at it and just said, man, that's just pure clickbait. It's pure clickbait. I knew what was going on. I knew the game wasn't going free to play in the traditional sense that we hear games like Rocket League are going free to play this summer, which, by the way, that is happening too, on the Epic Games Store at least. So this was a little bit different. But then I got to thinking, and I'm going to throw some thoughts out there for you, hopefully add them to yours, and you let me know. Does this mean that to you, Final Fantasy XIV is a free-to-play game? So first off, you're getting A Realm Reborn and Heavensward content, so that's the initial launch and the first expansion. And if you liken that to other free-to-play games that we do cover on MMO Bomb, Things like EverQuest, EverQuest 2, Guild Wars 2, they do this same type of model. Base game for free. In EverQuest's case, there's a lot of expansions, so you do get quite a few expansions for free, some of the older ones, but the most recent content, you do have to buy the expansion for. Well, if you liken that to Final Fantasy XIV, you get the base game, you get the first expansion, and then if you want to continue on your adventure, you have to buy the subsequent expansions, whether that be Stormblood or the most recent Shadowbringers. Okay. There are limitations on the free-to-play account, and none of them are too crippling. We're not talking about Star Wars The Old Republic crippling as far as the restrictions. There are things that you would expect, and maybe one or two ones that you're kind of like, huh, that's weird. For instance, you'll only be able to create up to 8 characters, 1 per world. You'll be capped at level 60. Currently, that's 35. Remember, this does not take effect until August 11th when the newest patch drops, so right now it is still 35. You'll be capped on the amount of guild that you can carry. There's certain chat channels that you won't be able to use, and you won't be able to create parties. You can use the duty finder to queue up for things. You can be invited to a party, but you can't create parties. And much the same way as far as being in free companies, that works the same way. You can't create or join a free company at all, but you can join a link shell if you're invited. And a link shell is just like a chat channel for those of you that don't play 14. A private chat channel for a group of people. So there are some limitations there. Content-wise, not too much. You can't go past certain floors in the deep dungeons. You can't log into the lodestone and stuff like that. So there are a few other limitations. I'll put a link to the limitations in the description below. But as far as access, you totally have it. Keep in mind, too, that starting over may not be that bad for some of you if all you played was the free trial, because even those starting story quests in A Realm Reborn are getting revamped in this patch, too. There's been about a 13% cut in overall quests for the main storyline, and then a lot of other quests were shrunk down so that steps were removed so that they can be completed faster. And that's one thing that I am happy to see, that I will chime in on a personal opinion, because this is a hard game to get new players into when you're talking to your buddies and you're level 80, knowing that unless they want to shell out for catch-up boosts to boost through story content, really the only way to open everything, dungeons, raids, trials, all of that stuff, is to do the main story. So they have to start at the beginning and work their way through. Well, this should alleviate some of the stress that comes with that. Not all of it, you're still going to have to do a lot of it, but it has been trimmed quite a bit. Looking at the restrictions, though, and likening it to another free-to-play game in Star Wars The Old Republic, the limitations are pretty light as far as that goes. So Star Wars The Old Republic is considered free-to-play. Should Final Fantasy XIV be considered free-to-play as well? But then the other side of my brain starts kicking in and says, yeah, if you look at those couple of points, they do compare to other currently free-to-play games that we cover on the site in a meaningful way. Here's the caveat, though, the devil's advocate point that I want to make. The sub is not optional. This isn't just if you hit level 60 and you like what you see and you want to keep going, then you buy Stormblood. That is exactly what Guild Wars 2 is. If you play through the original content and the first expansion and you like what you see and you want more of it, you can just go buy the next expansion and be done and start playing. Once you hit that 60 barrier, that sub is not optional. You still have to buy Stormblood. You still have to buy Shadowbringers if you're going to buy those pieces of content and sub. So it's a little bit different in that respect. I don't think you can call it free-to-play post-60. So with those points in mind, I pose the question to you as the gamer, the MMO player that's coming to MMO Bomb looking for your free-to-play news. Does this trial expansion, while vast, while enjoyable, while providing great story content for somebody that's never tried the game, even if they just want to treat it as a single-player Final Fantasy RPG experience, they certainly can. It's great. It's a fantastic free trial. But does it make the game free to play in your mind? in the way of free-to-play games, what you expect from a free-to-play MMO. I think I'm still on the fence. So I'm going to leave it to one of you to convince me. Put your comments down below. Let me know. What do you think? Does this make Final Fantasy XIV officially free to play for all intents and purposes and to be covered as such? Or is this just a super, super expanded free trial? We don't cover World of Warcraft. They have a trial because the trial goes up to a certain point and then the subscription is absolutely required and subsequent box purchases are required. And while this is substantially bigger than World of Warcraft's trial period, does it fall in the same rule set? It does reach a point, albeit many, many hours in, that you will have to buy expansions and sub. So is it free to play or not? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to follow mmobomb.com. Come on over, see us on Twitch at mmobomb. And of course, check out our live streams every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/mmobomb. Until then, gang, this is Magic Man saying stay safe, and I'll see you on the servers.